Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Andre, and I'm part of the training and documentation team here at BGL. Today is another Simple Invest Education Week webinar. We'll be going through income streaming and entity journals. So we'll start off with a bit of housekeeping. So can you ask questions during the webinar? Yes, you can. Everyone here is on listen-only mode, so there is a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. So if you have any questions throughout today's webinar, we do encourage questions. So type out your questions in the Q&A box below, and either myself or some of our team members that are joining us today will come and answer your question. This webinar will also be recorded, so this webinar will be posted on our YouTube channel. Also, all attendees for today's webinar will receive an email of the recording and slides of this PowerPoint. So today marks our second topic in the Simple Invest Education Week. So yesterday we had Daniel, who had the automate data entry with BGL Smart Docs. Tomorrow is Norman with unique reports in Simple Invest. And on Friday, we have Christopher, who's doing our Division 7A Loan Simplified. So I'll put in a link where you can actually register for all of these webinars in the chat below. So if you look at the chat, you will see there's a link. So if you are interested in any of these up and coming webinars, you can press that link where you can register for the upcoming webinars. So last week we did Simple Fund 360 Education Week. We did do a few videos there. I'll post another link where if you did miss any of our topics from yesterday, you can have a look at our YouTube channel where all of our links have been posted. So if you missed any or would like to see another one again, you can read and watch it through there. The same will happen with our Simple Invest. So all of our webinars will be uploaded through there. And then the following week, starting next week, is going to be our CAS 360 Education Week. So for those that don't know about CAS 360, it is our corporate compliance product. So we're going to be running about 10 webinars there. So if you are a user of CAS 360, I would highly recommend stopping by. But if you don't know what CAS 360, I would also suggest stopping by and just having a look what we do and what it is possible in CAS 360. So for the agenda for today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to have a look at our entity management, how Simple Invest can help you control different entities within Simple Invest. We'll have a look at tax labels. So how does that affect it? How can we fix it? We'll have a look at our income streaming, and then briefly we'll have a look at a few distribution reports to show what is going on. So we'll start with a bit of theory for everyone. So entity management, how can Simple Invest, what can it do for you? So what Simple Invest is, it is an investment platform where we can put in multiple entities where you can automate them all together. So in a case which I'll show shortly, we'll be running how to do distribution for trust. But what happens if you are also doing the books for the company as well as individuals as the beneficiaries? So we'll show you exactly how we can link it all together and how it can all make sense, how we can automate some processes and make it a bit more simple so that it's just all in one product where you don't have to go back and forth looking at your Excel spreadsheets. So we can just keep it in one particular area. So in this scenario, what we're going to be doing, we have the Keane Family Trust. And in the Keane Family Trust, we do have 3 different beneficiaries. So we have Roy Keane, who is an individual in our, it is an individual as an entity, which it is in Simple Invest. We have Jasmine Keane, who's a beneficiary, who isn't a individual entity. She's just a contact. Also, we are going to create Roy's Consulting, which it is a company. So That being said, so at the end, Keen Family Trust will be doing a distribution to all three beneficiaries. So we'll go into the software. So here I've logged into Simple Invest. You can see I have the Keen Family Trust and I have the individual here. The next step, what I'm just going to do is create the company. So we're going to add the entity. We're going to select the company. We're going to put the name of the company. Was Consulting. Entity code will automatically appear. You would put in your ABN, your TFN, and your ACN if necessary. I'll put in the incorporation date. That's 1st to the 2nd, 7th, sorry, 2022. And the financial year will be the 23 financial year. We'll create company. At this stage, what you would normally would do is you would enter in the investment history of the company. We do have a service for you called the BGL setup service, which if you provide us the details of the investments, we can do it for you. But we'll skip over this part. What we're going to have to do is we're going to create the trust. So if I go back for a moment, you'll see that the Keen Family Trust, what we're going to do is create that as an investment account within the company. So to do that, what we're going to be doing is going to accounting, chart of accounts. We're going to add an account. We're going to add an investment. So the investment type is going to be units in an unlisted trust Australia. We're going to select the security. Because that family trust isn't a part of the ASX, what we're going to have to do is create a new one. We're going to press create new. So security code is going to be Keen Trust. And it'd be the Keen Family Trust as security name. So because it's not listed on any securities, we have to go to unlisted managed securities all the way and go to unlisted and direct property. Select that. We don't need to put a price on it. So scroll down and press save. Awesome. Now we created the security. Our next step is to put it at search for the security. So we're going to look for the Keen Trust. There we go. And press save. So now that we've done that, what we could also do is have a look for it. So that was in that 78400. Scroll down. So here it is. What we can do is go into our more details. Have a look through there. So you can see it has got, it's been linked to a few investment accounts. Sorry, a few linked accounts right here. We can manage it through here. Also, what we can do is we can attach to all entities. So through here, because we are doing the Roy Roy individual entity as well, what we can do is attach this investment to Roy because they are both a part of the same entity group. So you can do that. You can add and press save changes. Now we press save and it will be there for Roy. So our next step, what we need to do now, because we've added the company in Simple Invest, the next step is to go to the Keen Family Trust. We're going to go to our beneficiary screen. So in Simple Fund, it would be our member screen, and we're going to add our beneficiary. So we're going to add our beneficiary. We're going to look up for the Roy's Consulting Company. So you can see it is here. We're going to look for our linked accounts, and look, this is the one that we just created just then. I'm going to select it. So that's our link between the company and the trust. So I'm going to add as beneficiary. And if we go to Roy, you can see that we have a couple here, through a couple of test runs, but you can see we've selected the correct one. And that way, when we do our distribution, which you'll see before, it's going to be linked to these entity types. So it is all in the same place. We're going to press save. Okay, that's good. So we've done that part. Now, if we have a look at our accounting tab, you see I've already processed a few transactions, so it's time to start with our end of year financial process. So we're going to go to our compliance, and there's currently a warning. So there's a missing tax label. So we're going to have a look about that. So anytime that you see a warning on your missing tax label, that there is a missing tax label, sorry, you have to go through, have a look, and you'll see that I've created a custom expense account other. So if you do create any custom accounts in Simple Invest, it's always a good idea to have a look at your tax labels just to make sure that it has one. So when we do our end of year financial processing and our system's doing all of its usual system journals, it knows what account it should be taxed under. So if I select here, you'll see if I go down here, I have an account called other expenses, but there are multiple different types of accounts to choose. So all you would need to do is make sure you select it as the tax account you would like it to be processed as. So there you go. And we can put it as primary or non-accessible, or we'll just keep it as non-accessible at the moment. So we'll press save. Well, before we press save, it does remind me, there is another one as well, another tax code we should keep in mind. I'll talk about this a bit later as well. So we have this one here. So we've created a deductions relating to Australian investment income. What we can do here under the secondary label is we can do it saying it's relating to our franked dividends. Now that's important. In a moment, we'll talk about this. So just remember that 850, we'll press save. So now that we've fixed up the tax labels, we can start the workflow. So we can do the distribution frequency yearly, but we also have an option to go quarterly, monthly, or we can do it at a custom date. So we'll just keep it as a yearly for now. So we'll do start workflow. All right. So here's our statement of taxable income. So this is as per our operating statement. We do have the options here to export it as a PDF as well as an Excel. And if we are missing anything, what we can always do is we can add items. So through here, we can add an item. Perhaps we're missing the non-taxable capital gains item right here. We can put it in through here and enter in the value, but we're going to say no for that. And as well, we have the reserve. So if you have a reserve that you need an amount to go to, we can select the reserve account and go through here. But as we are happy for today, we'll ignore this part and we'll press save and post. So this brings us to our distribute profit screen. And you can see on that top part right here, we have a green tick. So it tells us we've passed that step. Now, the next step, in order to enable income streaming, what we need to do from here is go to income streaming and press yes. So here you can see on the top, on our right-hand side, we have our beneficiary information. Now this can be used for your tax planning, or if you have a financial advisor, they would maybe suggest you put some items through here. But today we're just going to ignore this part. What we're going to do now is come back to the income streaming toggle, and to the right, there is a setting. So if I could press that setting, here we go. That's at $850 that I told everyone to just keep that number in mind. So you can see here, because we had that secondary tax label as related to franked dividends, what it tells the system is that because it is related to the franked dividends, we can deduct it. So you can see here, we have two different allocation strategies. So we have 100% to franked distributions. So that's by default. Also, we can do proportion based on accounting income. So we can do both of them. So I'm just going to keep it as this one. Now, if you do have any negative non-primary production to franked, what you can do is you can allocate it to the franked and capital gain. So this process is also known as rateable reduction. So if I press yes, now we'll put that as 0 and 0 for now. what we do have the option to do is that we can allocate it based by amount. So perhaps I want to put 10% through here and put 10% through here. So it can go through that. We can allocate it as well by numbers. So maybe I want 100 as just the amount through here. And you can see it provides us a percentage through here. So once that's done, we'll press save. And it will adjust our totals. Let's give it a moment. Here we go. So we've adjusted our income streaming. Now, the next part is to put in our frank distribution. So we're going to figure out which entity gets what. So for Roy's accounting, what we're going to say is Roy gets consulting, sorry, he gets 70%. And then the entity gets 15 and Jasmine gets 15 as well. Discounted gains, they can both share 50-50 between Jasmine and Roy. And other gains, what we can do is put, say, Roy gets 60%, Roy's consulting, that is, we get 20 and 20. Yeah, you can also just put it in your different manual ways as well. So you can just put it in as a amounts as well, and based on this. However, it's just that I find it personally a bit easier just to do it through the percentages. So we can do this as a 70% and again 15-15. Now, based on this information that we just put in, once we press our auto fill from percentage, this button right here, it's going to go through and it's going to paste that information to the beneficiary side. So you can see it all comes through here. Now we have the option for the share of income trust estate. We can either do it for the net taxable income or the net accounting income. I'm just going to keep it as the next taxable income for today, but you have the option to change it. So with frank distributions, what usually happens is that based on the frank distribution, the frank credits will go through as per. However, we do have the option to adjust it. All we need to do is press that locked, and you can see it comes and unlocks it where we can edit it as well. So we're going to keep it as locked. Now, as you can see, we do have a few headings as well. However, we don't by default show them all. If you have an expense or a heading which should be there, we feel, if we go to press show, you can see here we do have the full range. So perhaps I want to show the tax preferred amounts. So I'll press them and I'll get out of the screen. And if you do have a distribution that does have components that should go under that label, you'll find them under here. So you can always come back. All right, so now that we're happy, our next step is to press post and continue. All right, so this is when our inter-entity journals come through. So what we're going to do is press open inter-entity journal. So you can see here we do have our two beneficiaries that we do manage on Simple Invest. So what we're going to do is we're going to post to the individual Roy King. Maybe I'll click it. Oh, there you go. Might just need to reload the screen. Might have pressed it one too many times. Open our entity journal. And there you go. So I've posted them both. So what I can do is I'm just going to go to the Roy's Consulting. So what we can have a look, we can actually have a look at the transaction that's just been posted. There we go. So here you can see it's come through the post. So it's gone to our dividends, our 2,800, and also going against our 6,100 or our distributions receivable. So now if I go to our more details, so our distribution interest details, more that you go down. So you can see that this part here is all as per the distribution components that we put in during that distribution screen. So it's all gone through and it's all gone and it's saved here. So it saves you a lot of time going from one entity to another and just manually put it in. So we can just keep it all in one transaction and just automate that process and press save. So once we're happy. Now I'll be remiss if I didn't mention this, but as a part of the 2024 financial year, there is a new tax schedule from the ATO, and that's the trust income schedule. So when you use our entity journal, it's going to pre-fill that amount in their tax return for that tax schedule. So using our entity journal, once we've done that, and once we do our tax return for the company, you'll see that this dividend information will appear in the trust income schedule as shown. Okay, so let's get back into the trust. So once we're happy, we're done, we can continue. Now, this is our part of the tax return. So what you would do here is that you would fill the tax return and make sure it validates. You can see here I'm missing a couple of fields. But once we're happy, we can lodge it through here and then close the period. So I did say I was going to briefly show you a few distribution reports. So if I go to our report screen through here, I did prepare a distribution reports pack. So here is all of our reports that relate to our distribution. So we do have declaration of distribution, beneficiary distribution summary, as well as distribution reconciliation and statement of distribution. I will mention that I'm only going to briefly mention this because we do have a webinar tomorrow with Norman, who's going to go through all of our unique reports in Simple Invest. So I'll just only be showing a few of these. So we'll press preview. And these are reports that you can give out to your clients after the distribution has done. So you can see that what we've done, as well as all the different beneficiary components as well. So you can see that we are really giving you a full transparent scope of what is occurring in Simple Invest with the distributions. Okay. Now that is, so I see Philip has a question. Does Roy Consulting, which Andre is doing, have its own TFN? Yes, Roy does have its own consulting, but it is a mock one as well. So if I go to, so in that case, we didn't put in a consulting fee for TFN for Ron. Roy, sorry, because it's just what you do is go to your company details and you would enter in your TFN field. So we're just doing it for this. All right. That being said, we're back into our PowerPoint. I just want to thank you all for joining us for today's webinar. It was a bit short, but I hope everyone learned something from today's webinar.